Story 1. To find out anything, almost every random question I have ever had has been asked on Reddit. Story 2. I enjoy being able to see other people's points of view and reading the replies. No matter the subject, there is always another perspective. Story 3. I find it enjoyable without being dramatic. I also appreciate the anonymity and the fact that I can be myself. Story 4. Killing time at work without looking too suspicious. I appear to be focused on a financial report, but in reality, I am reading a thread with 300 comments discussing whether cereal is soup. Story 5. Passing time reduces loneliness. Using my voice is important. Everyone in my family is busy and toxic, so I stay away from them. They never listen to me, and at times, I am setting boundaries to protect myself. Engaging with online communities helps me express myself. Story 6. Distraction from life is common. I am a full-time caregiver for my husband and sometimes have a lot of free time when he is asleep, but I still have to listen out for him. Other times, I get only a few minutes here and there. Reddit is perfect for dipping in and out of when I want a distraction. I can spend hours there or just a couple of minutes. It works perfectly with my schedule. Story 7. Shitposting, enjoying humorous content, political news, community cultivation, general news, discussions, leisure activities, hobbies, and pictures of cute cats. Story 8. Well, you see, I'm forced to spend 40 hours a week in a building I don't care for. Reddit makes those 40 hours feel like 39 hours. However, in the case of some commenters, it makes it feel like 49 years. Story 9. I work as a janitor, and I am efficient, which leaves me with a lot of free time. I mostly visit large forums, but I also frequent a few niche ones related to gaming and hobbies. Story 10. I belong to a few general groups, one for my trade and another for cats. I am in many cat groups, and it still isn't enough. Story 11. It started with Wall Street bets, when everyone was optimistic about GameStop. Rumor has it that someone revealed that large firms were shorting the stock, which led to the subsequent events. Since then, I have been trying to improve my Reddit score and achieve fame anonymously. Story 12. I am a baseball fan and enjoy spending time with fellow fans of my team, especially since there are people online who do not support my team or players. Story 13. Reddit is better than any other platform for me. I can actually talk about things I'm interested in instead of the drama of Facebook groups. Story 14. In recent years, I have primarily used it as a news source because the comments provide a way to sanity check the information, with people pointing out obvious flaws in the articles. Story 15. At this point, it is my only remaining outlet for my broken social media addiction since I removed myself from all other platforms. Story 16. Posting in the NRL subreddit mainly to engage with game drama whenever a developer of a game I play makes poor decisions. Story 17. Fill every little moment of free time so my consciousness is focused on my phone screen with memes, interesting facts, and the occasional not safe for work content. That way, I am not dwelling too much on everything negative in my life and myself. Story 18. I upset people with my opinions. I am currently permanently banned from 27 different subreddits and counting. Story 19. It's an interesting question to consider because I believe Reddit has no specific purpose. I mostly use it to stay updated on particular interests of mine that likely don't have dedicated forums elsewhere. When I look at my homepage, it's a mix of world geopolitical news, humorous posts, and animal pictures. Reddit serves as a platform for everything and nothing simultaneously. Story 20. I am reading about other people's experiences with bodily pain to understand what I need to do to heal myself, as my doctor is not very helpful. Story 21. Dumping unsent letters and posts, occasionally sharing good content from others, but often deleting them later. Sometimes I use the chat feature, but those interactions are usually short-lived and often end with ghosting. Story 22. I like it because it offers a perfect balance of Twitter jokes and Instagram pictures, mainly focused on sports and random thoughts. Story 23. 4 main reasons. 1. Connections to others that I cannot reach in real life. Dopamine. Interesting facts. Random questions and answers to my inquiries. Story 24. Reddit is the go-to platform for any questions I need answered. Whether I have inquiries about DIY projects such as electrical work, plumbing, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, landscape lighting, or tree trimming, I can find help. I can also gather ideas for worm farming, composting, native plants, or gardening. Additionally, there are political discussions and career opinions from people currently in the job market. I can also enjoy humorous comments and discussions on various random topics. Story 25. Exposure therapy allows me to be perceived through comments to fulfill some sort of social interaction since I work from home and live alone. It helps to be more open to being perceived, to be honest. I used to come here primarily for adult content. Story 26. 35% memes, 35% tutorials and helpful information, 5% content about furry topics, 15% subscriptions about games I play, and 10% random content. Story 27. There are no shampoo or air freshener bottles in the restrooms at work, and I need something to read while using the restroom. Story 28. I needed it for work, and the Excel community was helpful. I changed job functions and no longer need that. However, I am still here. Story 29. I aim to ask more specific gaming-related questions that were not addressed elsewhere, while also keeping up to date with gaming news. Story 30. I used to use it exclusively to learn and to avoid feeling too much fear of missing out since I never used real social media. Now I use it to talk to people and to learn. It's been much more enjoyable using it for various purposes, in my opinion. Story 31. Mainly vintage computing items, Apple products, and nostalgic items. Additionally, some local content from the Washington, D.C. area. Story 32. Mental health. Whether it is to find answers to questions that online searches cannot provide or to express frustration towards others, it is important to address these feelings. Additionally, cats can have a positive impact on mental well-being. Story 33. I enjoy helping out in the areas where I have expertise, whether it involves solving computer problems, offering advice, or sharing bits of knowledge. I also like discussing movies and shows and, of course, avoiding online fraud bots and getting banned for no reason. I wish some of the moderators would be more reasonable. The other day, I answered a movie question by simply mentioning the name of a harmless film. Others provided the same answer, but I received a ban warning for inciting violence and hate speech. I am currently appealing the decision, as I was confirmed for the ban, which is quite frustrating. Story 34. Honestly, I use it as a tool for just about anything, to ask hard questions and to give or receive advice. I'll be the first to admit that I don't use it as I should, but I love using Reddit. I've made a lot of friends here and established some good connections with people, but I've also made some bad ones. Story 35. Used to share and obtain information that is otherwise unavailable elsewhere. Now it is simply a corporate newsletter. Now it is just a text-only version of TikTok. It helps me pass the few minutes during breaks between tasks. Story 36. A wide variety of content includes cute pictures of foxes, furry art, and updates on news and interesting posts about games I enjoy. I also appreciate interesting and unique stories, especially those that differ from the countless romantic relationship mishaps, which tend to follow the same patterns: infidelity, overreactions, misunderstandings, and family or friend drama. Story 37. Because I can scroll here without the sound interrupting my music, it makes sense. On TikTok, I can't use it without my music automatically turning off. Here, I can because there aren't many videos, and if there is sound, it just plays over my music. Story 38. Reddit is my information bubble. I dislike Twitter, Facebook, and similar platforms, so here I can at least choose what to see, for the most part. Story 39. Inflectional stimulation. Reddit is not perfect, but it is far more civilized than any other social media platform. While there are communities filled with low-quality content, you can curate your experience here. I have curated my communities to the point where I am learning something new every day. Additionally, it is a platform for homemade adult content. Story 40. It depends on my mood. Sometimes I scroll through content, and sometimes I conduct research. Reddit is quite useful for determining if something is worth it or not. Story 41. When someone 13 years ago had the same specific issue with their car that I am currently trying to fix. Story 42. Read the post, decide the world is not worth saving, and understand that no one really needs saving. Scroll through and see memes that make you smile, cringe, and feel irritated. Witness injustices and get angry, then encounter gossip and secretly read it, fantasizing and feeling a fear of missing out. Decide to never return to the platform, only to log back in a few minutes later because the real world is less interesting. Story 43. Finding obscure Game Boy games for affordable prices and sharing images of their single male living environments. Story 44. I keep up with various game communities, such as Fallout and Outlast trials, answering questions and occasionally posting my own content. I used to be more involved in political discussions but have reduced my participation to primarily political commentary, as politics on Reddit can be insufferable. Story 45. For specific questions, I usually search online. If I don't find the results I want, I add Reddit, and someone has often already made a relevant post. Story 46. Avoiding work at work is one of the few sites that slip through the block. Answering technology questions. Answering hobby-related topics. Dungeons and Dragons ideas. Story 47. Absolutely random content and casual posting, but sometimes it can be helpful to find interesting information or simply socialize. Story 48. To ask and answer innocent, genuine questions is important, but unfortunately, it is beginning to fall into the same category as my other social media platforms that I stopped using. It can become toxic for me at times, and I need to protect myself from that. Story 49. I am currently seeking a job and need one urgently. If you have any remote job opportunities available, please reach out to me. Thank you. Story 50. It seems that some users are being threatened with shadow bans by bots for telling bigots to go away, while Reddit uses Rule 1, no violence, as an excuse for these actions. This occurs even when the comments in question are not deleted by the mentioned bots. Story 51. Just watch people's lives. What interesting things did they do last time? At night, I explore the darker side of Reddit. In other words, it helps pass the time. Story 52. Honestly, I am bored. I need to scroll to find something engaging, something to pass the time, or something that catches my eye. Story 53. I mainly use Reddit to read random content that appears on my feed. I also follow several subreddits that match my interests. Occasionally, I browse local subreddits to see what is happening in my area. If I have something on my mind, I will comment or start a discussion. It's my go-to platform when I prefer not to engage directly with people but still want to feel connected. Just relax scrolling and sharing thoughts. Story 54. Use Google to search for information on any topic you need. I also enjoy socializing when I'm bored, sharing my opinions even if it feels like I'm speaking into a void. I have many real-life friends, but expressing my thoughts through writing, such as reviews or opinions on various topics, can be quite liberating. I enjoy writing in general. Story 55. I usually intend to use it for do-it-yourself car and appliance repair advice, but I end up in political doom scrolling. Story 56. I know most of the stories and experiences shared on this platform might be fake, but there are true stories that exist. These are people's stories, not just the fun parts or the travel experiences that happen once a month. They are about regular people doing everyday work, facing common problems, and asking for help from strangers online. Reddit honestly feels like the most humane social media platform. Story 57. Random thoughts. I enjoy memes, video games, and listening to people vent. I strive to help others, as I feel a connection akin to that of a psychologist and a friend. Despite my low self-esteem, I find value in supporting those around me, along with my interest in pixel art. I have also muted subscriptions related to United States politics, as I find them overwhelming. For news, I prefer using when the Story 58. I used to laugh at posts on dating forums and Forever Alone communities. Now I use it to look at art. Story 59. Every time I encounter an issue or problem, It has almost always been discussed somewhere here, and I receive real advice from people, not advertisements. Story 60. Studying motivation and finding intelligent people who can assist me on social media apps often includes excessive distractions. Story 61. Sometimes for not safe for work purposes, but mostly to read random material. I keep the blur not safe for work filter on most of the time. Story 62. I keep up with the hobbies and communities that I enjoy and am a part of, along with staying informed about current events. I probably use it like people use social media platforms, but with a more curated feed to minimize frustration with negativity. I also have a separate account for adult content, but I only use it a couple of times a week. I prefer to keep that content in its own space so I'm not exposed to it when I'm not in the mood. Story 63. Whenever I don't know how to do something, I like to ask questions on Reddit because it's better than searching on Google or watching YouTube. I also enjoy entertainment like memes for whenever I'm at the doctor's office or something similar. Story 64. Being able to find answers to highly specific questions that only a few other people worldwide have ever encountered is valuable. Additionally, having the ability to share information and opinions on your favorite topics and hobbies is important. Story 65. News, laughter, and learning. Occasionally, you encounter a rational individual with whom you can discuss a topic. That is always enjoyable. Story 66. To chat with other people interested in my hobbies. To get news. Share my photography. And now, after this weekend, I can add that I found cannabis. Story 67. Opinions on cartoons, candy, action figures, and soda, along with interesting content about random people's lives. Story 68. My main reason for creating a Reddit account was to provide information and answers to clients who use my company and are often misinformed about our policies, billing, and more. Newly hired employees may have questions they want to ask but don't feel comfortable approaching their coworkers or supervisors. There is a Reddit page dedicated to my company, but it is nearly impossible to reach a live agent for clarification, and when they do, they are often misled. Therefore, I anonymously share insights and potential loopholes they may be able to use regarding the company. Story 69. I want to make a single post. I need more karma for it every time I check. It never tells me how much I actually need, so I am here commenting. Story 70. For when I have a specific problem that no one else has except for someone on Reddit from 10 years ago. Also, to pass the time and talk to people. Story 71. I genuinely trust people on Reddit who ask questions more than any random blog post or website on the internet when it comes to obtaining information or answering queries. I still browse it occasionally for random funny or cool content, or anything related to gaming and PCs. Story 72. To stay updated with trends, major news stories, and information about topics that interest me. I seize every opportunity to make a remark that I hope others will enjoy as well. Story 73. I use it to demonstrate my knowledge and opinions, knowing that it will impress others who may then reach out to me. Any day now. Story 74. Entertainment and others have posted primarily for input on digital information infrastructure, home networking, home security, and more. Story 75. It saves my wife's ears from much of the unnecessary information I feel the need to share for some reason. Story 76. I enjoy browsing OnlyFans for pictures of unique and interesting fans. Additionally, I like to spend time in retro gaming communities. Story 77. I have ulcerative colitis, so I am in some support groups for this disease, and they have been helpful. I also explore other topics sometimes as well. Story 78. Scrolling through topics I find interesting. I like it because it's more engaging than doom scrolling, and I learn new things. Story 79. Everything mainly covers possible money-making ideas, IT updates in technology, discussions in occult forums, and experiences with nootropics. Story 80. I often seek advice, research, and do-it-yourself information. I also enjoy contributing to conversations about my hobbies and passions. Story 81. I am not very social and I don't have many friends, so I use Reddit to feel more involved in social activities. Story 82. Video game console repair advice. This serves as a reminder that there are people as niche and passionate about this topic as I am. Story 83. I enjoy observing the reactions of liberals on Reddit. The platform often feels like an echo chamber, which can be quite amusing. Story 84. Staying updated with hobbies and fields of interest, engaging in lighthearted discussions, and having activities to enjoy during free time. Story 85. Memes involve posting content to specific communities for information or self-expression, commenting, giving advice, and sharing humorous remarks. They can also make people feel good about themselves and allow individuals to observe discussions, including disagreements in the comments. Additionally, memes often highlight controversial topics. Story 86. To view media and then access the comments to see real discussions about the post, unlike other applications. Story 87. I love seeing personal perspectives on topics I am researching. I enjoy hearing real-life stories, engaging with posts, and being part of communities. Story 88. Current news. In the past, when I suffered from insomnia, I spent a lot of time on Reddit. It helped keep me sane during those long, sleepless nights. Story 89. I have genuinely found some of the funniest people on Reddit. Seriously, some of you have made me laugh so hard with your comments and posts. For the most part, I use Reddit to enjoy some good laughs. Story 90. Doom scrolling. Reading people's reactions to various topics, music, tattoo ideas, workout ideas, gaming content, and adult material, while generally embracing a rebellious attitude. Story 91. Primarily for technical do-it-yourself craft projects. Most of the Ask Me Anything content, including the I am a series and questions about the best and worst experiences, is a total disaster. It was interesting 10 years ago but has disintegrated to the point of uselessness. Story 92. AskReddit mostly. Some of the stories people share here are absolutely incredible. People go through so much in their lives, and it's fascinating to read their experiences. I don't care if they are fake. It's great entertainment. Story 93. To look up information without an intrusive artificial intelligence displaying advertisements and incorrect answers. Typically, there is not even a second page of results. That said, copy your search URL and add == 14 at the end. This works on Chrome. Story 94. Hobbies-related discussions mostly focus on news and reactions, staying up to date with trends. Other than that, for finding solutions, searching on Google and Reddit is still my preferred way to go. I haven't used the search bar on Reddit properly yet. Story 95. News, politics, environmental information, hobbies like skiing, hiking, mountaineering, and making music, as well as camping and canoeing. Discussion of music and sports, along with professional topics in my career area. Story 96. To see more cases like mine and confirm that people have treated me poorly, while I am not the issue, I seek entertainment. Story 97. Scrolling NSFW, and definitely the comments. I don't receive any notifications for people you may know. Story 98. Just numb the existential dread that hangs over me daily. I can't deal with it if I'm avoiding it. Story 99. To find that every question I've ever had is always asked by someone else with hopefully an answer. Story 100. Being motivated and finding community is essential for veterans who may feel lost. It's inspiring to hear stories that bring people together and encourage vulnerability on this app. Story 101. I cannot speak for others, but I only use Reddit when I have time to learn something new or to motivate and inspire myself and others. Story 102. I enjoy reading about people's experiences, especially those related to interpersonal and family dynamics. Everyone has vivid and distinct lives. Perspective is essential for empathy. I also appreciate that Reddit can cater to my specific interests and hobbies. I love seeing other people's art, such as quilting and embroidery, and sometimes I find inspiration to try something new. Story 103. Not many people play the same video games as I do, and here I can find those communities. I also enjoy debating on the Debate Religion forum. Story 104. For information about topics that interest me, it is fascinating to gather knowledge about niche subjects or get answers to specific questions. Story 105, Work Distractions. Sitting in front of a screen monitoring tasks becomes monotonous, and social media does not consume excessive amounts of phone battery. Story 106. Crafting ideas, providing DIY project advice, and engaging with a gaming community about a game I enjoy, since my wife listens to me talk about it, but I know she's just humoring me. Story 107. Trolling the tornado community because there are many overly dramatic individuals without meteorology degrees present. Story 108. To get the current news and explore interesting content, as well as to discover or rediscover talented music artists. Story 109. Honestly, for the AskReddit community, there are questions, answers, stories, conspiracy theories, horror stories, confessions, and secrets. Everything is here. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.